So this is what I'm doing now, dropping feeders. As you can see, I've already dropped quite a few, both red and white. It's positive and negative. One set of wires for each track. Here, because the module ends at a switch, and I'm gonna have a set of feeders there and here. I only decided to put one set here because that'll feed both, plus those will also power that way as well. So that's not a big deal. But in most cases, I'll put a set of feeders at this end, so you can see a couple that I've done there, the red. And then at this end of the module here, now because of the way it is on the underside, I wasn't able to actually drop any here because there's a piece of wood there and can't get through it and I can't feed it through. So because this is really short, this is like a 2.5 foot module here. These feeders that I'm putting at this end here will feed the whole thing, but I'll run a stringer from that set all the way to here because I'm gonna have feeders. As you can see, I dropped them all down. I still have to do the ends of that one, but once I solder those on, it'll basically feed power to there. And then I only have one feeder done here, which is right there. I still have to do there and those two back there. And feeders here. I've got this one done still. So basically I've got the front track done, the main one. And then I still have to do, obviously, these three. So still have a bit left to go. And then obviously feeders go back up into that way. And I have to do some wiring in there and then make all the little boards that I put under each one to connect all the feeders together to make sure all the power is evenly distributed between all of these main lines here. And then obviously once I get into adding the sidings, which will be at the back and in front of this building here, then I can worry about adding maybe like an on and off switch, power block, if you will, to eliminate power going to those tracks temporarily, just in case I have a loco sitting there and I don't want the loco being powered on, so I can always turn it off. But yeah, basic roll like this here I got from the Home Depot, and I think it's 22 gauge, something like that. It's not super thick, but it's good for dropping a feeder, and then I also use it for my bus as well. So all the power is consistent and there is no drops. Because this end here goes to a lift out, I kind of have to stop here with my track until all that's done and I can lock this in and all that back there is done. And then I'll be able to continue on with the track here and then drop feeders for like right here as well. But yeah, there's still lots more to do here. So I'm going to continue on with the feeders, and then I'm going to see if the power is good, and I'm going to run a train here just to test out all 4 of these tracks and go back and forth and whatnot and see if we're good. So I know I've talked about these boards, these power boards in the past. I'm making one of these for each of my modules, but each one is a little bit different, seeing as how every module has a different amount of feeders that are being dropped, a different amount of track and whatnot. So I'm just going to show you an overall look at how I make it. Basically, because for this module here in particular, I know I have 6 feeders that are being dropped down, 6 negative and 6 positive. So I can cut my strip down to 6. They normally come in about 12. So that's how it comes, but it's rubber, right? So I can just cut it down, and then that's the strip there. So then I run these little jumper wires from each of these screws, and it'll feed the whole board. Then from both the positive and the negative, it runs down to a smaller board here, which will have, now if there's one of these boards at each end of the module, this middle one here, one positive and one negative, will run to the other board at the other end. That way it's kind of like a bus wire, and it spreads the power to both of these. And then the outside positive and negative will get one of these to it, which is just a male-female plug that I got imported from China. And basically it has the positive and negative to it, and it just plugs in. And then this will jump from this module to the next module that's literally right beside it. And if I need to move, I just unplug it and the board stays on there and it's all good. And the power just continues from one module to the next. And that's basically how I do it. It's, you know, in a nutshell. I use a scrap piece of wood. Obviously, I've got a couple of scrap pieces here. I can probably cut them down. It's like a 4x5, but whatever. And I just hot glue the rubber things right down after I wire it. And then I drill a little hole at the top there and I screw it up under. And then all the feeders that are dropped, I can just put one in, screw them in, and then it's good to go. And it's super quick and super efficient. If I have any power drops, I can just check the individual wire. If the wire needs to be replaced, or if it's not in properly, then I'll be able to see exactly where it is without having to fish through wires and whatnot. It's very straightforward. This board here is going to go under the module for the Canadian Tire Distribution Center. And you can see that the board is a lot larger. Again, because it's under the layout, it doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. It just has to be functional and it has to, you know, work. So obviously I only have four tracks that are going to be connected to this, but I needed all this extra room here because I've got the Woodland Scenics light hub system. So I've got a whole side here where I can add all these extra hubs so that I can connect lights and whatnot to it. And then that way all my electrical is together on one board for that module. So it kind of works. Okay, so there's one of the boards there. That one's up and it's already attached. All the feeders are attached to it as well. You'll see that there's a couple that there's nothing plugged into them because I haven't added those tracks yet. Those are all for siding. So basically, because I have the main line done, I'm able to go ahead and connect the power for it. We'll see this one here as well. There's one open one there. And then this hangs down from the other one. And this hangs down from this one. And then I just got to plug them in. And now they're connected.